there's always a defender in front of you, so there's always this focus on the 1v1 battle. And the game's about expressing yourself, or maybe even humiliating your opponents. That's something that we wanted to make sure that we had in our game. So when we decided to build gameplay, we decided that from the outset we had to focus on this 1v1 battle. So what does that mean? So what we did, in order to do that, we did a couple of things. The first off, the base dribbling system within FIFA Street is completely different to FIFA. You can see here the player's moving forwards, backwards, left and right, but he's always facing the same direction. He's always facing the defender. The defender is always facing him, so that you're always in this situation for a 1v1 battle. You're always in a situation where you can do a trick or a change of pace or a change of direction to try and beat the defender. In addition to that, if you ever watch Street Football videos on YouTube, you'll see that the very good players, they spend a lot of time at a stand manipulating the ball very quickly. They try to draw the defender in, trying to bait the defender to get him closer to then where they can then use a trick or a change of pace in order to beat him. So you can see here, this is something that we've got in our game. If you hold the left trigger while playing FIFA Street, that's like the brake. The left stick, once you've got the brake held, the left stick no longer moves the player, it moves the ball. So in order to do these quick balling manipulations, you just hold the left trigger and then move the left stick, and we'll show you a live demonstration of that later. So that's the second part. Again, focus on the 1v1 battle. Another element that we wanted to add for FIFA Street was the idea of the pana, or the nutmeg. Again, it's fundamental to what Street Football is. Street Football is about expressing yourself. It's almost also a little bit about humiliating the defender. So we wanted to add features into our game that could encourage the pana. Instead, we'll maybe talk a little bit later about even specific game types that utilize the pana, or the nutmeg. And finally, penultimately rather, is wall play. So the FIFA Streets in the past never really utilized the walls. The walls were there, but they never really used them. We wanted to use them in a much greater fashion in FIFA Street, in this version of FIFA Street. So you can see here just how you can move against the wall, you can shield the ball against the wall. And again, I guess for us, we did a lot of research when we first started this project. We sent a team to Rio, we sent a team to Amsterdam, we sent a team to London to discover how street football is played in these different parts of the world. Obviously, we wanted to build a street football game that was as relevant to as many people as possible, but potentially also aspirational to people. So people in the UK, they play the game in a very physical way, and they utilise the walls a lot. But maybe they want to play in the way that the people play the game in South America or in Amsterdam. So we wanted to offer all of these different forms of street football in our game, and wall play was one of the ways we wanted to do that. And finally, street football wouldn't be street football without the tricks. So I think we're going to have many times the number of tricks that are in FIFA. I don't know the exact number of tricks that we're going to have, but you can see here just some of the things that we have in the game, and we'll demo later on in a live demo. We'll demo some of the newer tricks that we've added to the game this year. So that's what street football means to authentic street football means to gameplay. But what does it mean in the rest of the game? Well, one of the things that I touched on earlier is the different game types. I mentioned we did this research where we sent teams across the world to discover how street football is played, in this decade. And we found that, there's lots of different types of street football. There's lots of different ways that people play street football. So we're going to have, in FIFA Street, we're going to have 1v1 to 6v6 gameplay. We're also going to have futsal, which is something I'm sure you're aware of, is very popular in South America. It's also growing in popularity in mainland Europe. And we're also going to have specific street football style game types. So one of the games we're going to have is the pana rules, which is basically the teams play with no goalkeeper, a very small goals. You get 1 point for a goal, you get 2 points for a pana. And again, it just changes the dynamic of the game and adds more depth to us. So the 1v1 to 6v6 is going to have walls. Futsal, of course, does not have walls. And then we have these pana games. We also have a game called Last Man Standing, where you start 4v4 with no goalkeeper. You score a goal, one of your players leaves the field. The first team to get all their players off the field wins the game. And it was something that we just put in there kind of on a whim almost. But when we've shown the game to people, we've shown the game to gamers, this is the thing that's resonated very strongly with them. They love this new kind of different way to play football. So just a couple of screens from the game. I guess you're going to see these in a little bit later, but just to highlight the idea that we do have these different game types. And then finally, for us, to support these different game types and also to support the varied nature of street football, we're going to have a varied number of locations in our game. We're going to have around 35 different locations in our game. So just as a comparison, the last FIFA Street game had 7. We're going to have 35. Again, we need those so that we can play these different game types, but we also need those because we want, again, we're building this authentic street football, and we want to make sure that we have these environments that are authentic to the sport. And Sid's going to talk a little bit later on about how these environments feed into our main game mode, which is called World Tour. So there's just a couple, one screenshot of some of the environments that we have. You'll see in the top left there, kind of very under a viaduct kind of environment. You get playgrounds there on the top line, to more organised things in the top right-hand corner there. And then maybe some more aspirational things, like there's Dubrovnik, Croatia down the bottom. There's Amsterdam, there's Venice, Barcelona, and some London environments. So some of them are based in real locations, others are a little bit fantasy, but again, it does reflect the disparate nature of street football. Again, a couple of close-ups. You can play from a playground and an underpass to more organised environments. So yeah, so just to summarize, we're going to focus on the 1v1 battle and gameplay, all those different game types, and we will have all those different environments. And finally, I'll pass on to Sid to talk to you about our main game mode, World Tour.
All right. Thanks, Gary. You want to keep driving, or how?
Yeah. Gary can drive the PowerPoint and then...
Okay.
All right, so the basic idea of World Tour, so Gary talked a lot about the different game modes, the different gameplay styles. So we wanted to create sort of a deep, socially connected game mode that helps encompass all these different game styles. It helps kind of build a wrap around all the different things that Gary has talked about and offers you a progression and sort of an aspirational way to play the game. So the idea of World Tour is that you're going to create yourself, put yourself in the game. We drop you into a match right away. For the connected gamer, they're going to notice if they have FIFA Street friends or Xbox friends who have FIFA Street and have created characters, they'll notice their friends' characters in their game. So right away you're playing a match with your friends. Right afterwards we'll ask you to create a team, and you can create a team now with your friends. So it's basically, the story is it's you and your friends on a journey to street football stardom. So you're going to travel the world, starting in your local area. And I think we kind of show... Yeah, so the idea is that you start kind of in a local area, you win the tournaments and challenges in that area, then you progress to a national stage. From the national stage you move to a European stage, and eventually to the world stage. And part of the reason we did this is, as Gary said, street football is not something that's played in just Brazil or just Amsterdam or London. It's a world game. It's what's beautiful about this game. So what we really want to do is kind of reflect the global nature of the sport by trying to offer environments all over the place, and ones that are where you could play right now, a local park, a local gym, and as Gary said, the ones that have become more aspirational. So playing here, we have highlighted Dubai, but also playing in sort of Shanghai, a rooftop in Shanghai, stadium in Tokyo. So really being able to kind of suss out the different styles of play around the world and just different locations around the world to create some aspirational play. You'll notice in the screenshot, sorry, before we move on, notice in the screenshot also some of the kind of social features. We talked about it being social connected. So beyond the fact that it's being able to bring your friends in, all the teams you play within your World Tour are also teams created by other FIFA Street gamers. So when you go into different tournaments, if you go into different challenges, you're going to get to play against teams that have been created. So what it does is offers you quite a varied amount of gameplay, because all the teams are created by someone else. They're all created in those owners' own image. So you get a lot of different styles of gameplay. You also get, as you can see, a leaderboard for each challenge and tournament. So again, creating that social connection. So you'll see your friends' progress in any of the challenges and tournaments, and you can compare. So for a PANA match, as Gary's been mentioning, you'll see a leaderboard about the most PANAs. So one day you might have 6, you go back, you see your friend has 7, you want to go back and play it again to try to beat them. So creating that sort of social interaction between you and your friends as you play through World Tour. So as we talked about, it's just some of the environments. Again, we showed you some earlier. Here's another one where, a futsal stadium in Tokyo. Again, creating sort of an aspirational kind of venue that you would work to in the world stage. Madison Square Gardens, again, a nice venue. And then, some of the cooler kind of street challenges. So we talk about this idea of challenges and tournaments. So tournaments are your main means of progression through World Tour. You compete in tournaments to gain ranking points that help you move up a street football leaderboard. And that helps you progress from that national to European to world stage. Challenges are sort of one-off matches that help you build your team through, doing well on the pitch. So being stylish helps you earn points that help level up your players. But also helps you by being able to beat those teams that you play against. You can start stealing players to add to your team. Where this becomes, in the first couple of stages, you're actually playing against other gamer teams, so you can steal players, see how they've leveled up, see the stuff that they've unlocked. But you can also then, as you go to stage 3 and 4, start playing against real street footballer teams and even licensed clubs and start stealing players. We feel like while there's a certain amount of fans who sort of love that idea that it's just them and their friends kind of on this mission, there are a lot of fans also who who want to be able to play alongside their stars. So we offer sort of the opportunity for both. There's not one way that's better than the other. It's totally up to the gamer how they decide to play. And so we talked about how you build your team. So this is a screen that sort of shows you the things you can do. So you see a couple of guys who have leveled up. This comes from, like I said, stylish play. So as you perform well, you'll start leveling up your player. What you can do is then add different attributes. You can improve stuff like your shooting skill, your speed, your athleticism. But you can also then unlock new tricks for your player too. So you start off with a basic set of tricks. You're just new street footballers, and then you unlock cooler stuff to kind of go. And the reason you want to unlock them is because the cooler stuff also earns you more points to help you unlock things quicker as you progress to the World Tour, and lets you be more stylish. Again, like a different challenge environment, so a loading bay. And finally, to kind of, it was something that was mentioned at Gamescom, but just to kind of put some information behind it, all the events that you do within FIFA Street feed your EA Sports Football Club presence. So, whether you're finishing levels in World Tour, you're leveling up your player, you're competing in online matches, all these events are adding XP to your EA Sports Football Club level, and you'll see that within the game itself. So you can, again, see how you're doing and compare against your friends and how they've been doing in their football club journey.
There we go. So there's the summary slide that encapsulates everything that Sid and Gary have been talking about in terms of the authentic approach to gameplay, the locations around the world, and providing an amazing number of locations and unique, iconic locations around the world, a variety of different game types, and as you'll see when we go to the live gameplay, how the rules and how the environment and how the whole dynamic of the game changes depending on the game type that you choose, and then the deep social connected mode with World Tour. So why don't we flip over to the game console. Actually, no, we're not going to do that, are we, Gary? We're going to show a video.
I thought it was a video
We're
next
going to go.
You're supposed to be running the show.
I know I'm supposed to be running. I just want to see the game. I've seen these videos 100 times, but I haven't seen the game for a couple of days. So we are going to play a video. This was the first gameplay video that we put out that really sort of drove a lot of excitement across everybody to see the first look inside of FIFA Street. So let's roll that.
Oh, I'm just going to roll the video.
Rolling the video.